Welcome back, viewers at home. Now, drawing from his extensive experience as a mentor, speaker, and counselor, and to shed light on the importance of holistic health and mindset transformation in the lives of men, I am joined by Mohamed Cassim, also known as Mo, who is here to guide us through the physical, mental, and spiritual aspects of men's well-being. Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah so much for joining us tonight.
Wa alaikum salam. Jazakallah for having me.
Now, before we get started with our conversation on all things, mental well-being regarding physical, mental, spiritual aspects of man's well-being, can you take us through your, I think it's a company, Motivation?
Yes, so Motivation is a company that specializes in mental, physical, and spiritual wellness. What we do here is we try and align all three aspects so that we can become the best versions of ourselves. So Motivation was founded in 2012, and in that way, we have helped thousands of people coming through, whether it's through our programs on the stage, whether it's through the gym facility, whether it's through the fitness programs, whether it's through the youth mentorship programs as well. We've helped a tremendous number of people to just find themselves and understand their place in this world.
Subhanallah. Now, with that being said, what would you say are the biggest mental health challenges that men are facing today?
So, working with an array of men, boys as well, so from the ages of 12 upwards, I've seen that a lot of men hold everything in. They don't find a way to be able to let it out. They don't find a way to be able to speak about their emotions. So, a lot of men with very high IQs have very low EQs because they have no way of understanding their emotions and letting those emotions out so that they are able to tell the world how they feel, what they feel, when they're feeling it. And it stems from a very young age when parents tell us, you're a big boy, don't cry. So all of a sudden what happens is we start holding everything in as we go along. And of course, with the women in our lives, what they feel is, you the man, you need to be able to take care of certain things without having any emotion, and no fault of their own as well, because they grew up in households where this is what was being said all of the time. So men then feel that they are not being heard and that their emotions are not being understood, because men, like women, are human beings. And in that way, we feel emotions no matter what the circumstances are.
And with that being said, how does your holistic approach to health differs from more conventional, methods of promoting men's health?
I don't think it differs as such, but what I try and do is find, like I said earlier, the alignment of the mind, the body, and the soul. And I find that when those three are in alignment, instead of treating them as separate entities, when you start finding an alignment with it, you start understanding yourself a lot better. And then when you understand yourself and you heal yourself, you can heal your household. And when you heal the household, you can heal the neighborhood. And then when you heal the neighborhood, you can heal the community, which then in turn heals society on the whole.
And with that being said, how would you best elaborate in terms of a man walks into your facility and in you helping them align those certain aspects about themselves? Where does it start? Is it a matter of we start with the physical, we start with the mental, we start with the spiritual? I'm sure there must be a starting point, or it differs for every client that walks in.
So, of course, when I meet the client, I need to understand the mental state that he's in. And a lot of men have a very strong mental state. So they don't want to just break down in terms of what they are feeling. So we start with the physical aspect of it. But then when you realize that the body is just a byproduct of training, it's the mind that actually gets the training when you're releasing all those endorphins, when those chemicals are releasing in your brain that make you feel much better about yourself. And then, of course, when the body changes, then what is the word I'm looking for? It's not so much ego, but the way the person feels about themselves, the self-worth, the self-esteem starts increasing. And when the self-esteem increases, then you yourself have the ability to pick yourself up no matter what emotional state you're in. And then when you pick yourself up, the spiritual side starts taking over because you're grateful that you're able to do all of this. And then forms that alignment that we're talking of. And when that alignment forms, it's a beautiful way to see the world through this lens.
Now, Mo, with that being said, what daily habits can men or young boys at that adopt to foster their mental, physical, and spiritual well-being?
From the mental side, I would definitely say start journaling.
Okay.
Start writing. There's a beauty in the pen, and I don't mean on your phone. There's an absolute beauty in the pen, which, when held in your hand, has a connection between your brain and your heart. So when you're writing something down, it's actually coming from your heart, going into your brain, forming a proper sentence, and then you have to actually put it down. So it's not just a thought that's floating around. So when you have something, when you're feeling something, when you want to better something, when you want to make a note of what has happened or the interactions that you have had in the day, jot it down, write it down and go back to it. Read it again. Start understanding yourself. 10 days later, you'll start saying, wait a minute, I'm seeing a pattern here. And that pattern is going towards my mental state. And in that way, I can better myself, or I can see what I'm good at and work on those things. When it comes to the physical side, move every single day. Make sure you move, whatever it may be. Whether you want to do weightlifting, whether it's cycling, whether it's swimming, whether it's running, whether it's walking, just move. I think it is such a great sin for the human body to go through an entire life not knowing what it is capable of doing. So push your body to its limits.
Now, there's a concept that, it always makes its round. Living in South Africa, seeing, gender-based violence amongst many, many things that we see as toxic masculinity and some of the harmful stereotype that it actually is about, that is going around about men. My question to you is, what are your thoughts around, the concept of toxic masculinity, and how do we then begin to even dismantle such stereotypes to in order for us to promote more healthier, authentic masculinity from a young age?
That's such a brilliant question, and I'm so glad that you asked that question. Really, toxic masculinity is being promoted all over. What actually is happening is because of the rise of the female, and I love that women have gotten onto this mental and they're really taking full advantage of it. But because of the rise of the female, the male is not understanding his role in society anymore from a very young age. So what happens is he's not sure how to behave around a woman. So what happens is he either belittles her to make himself feel better, and that is of course with GBV and all other types of ways of belittling a woman, or he belittles himself to make her feel better. And both are completely wrong. We need to understand that women and men are equal. And if we work together in a society, the society is going to thrive. So let us understand our strengths as males and let us use that in the best of its ability and to the best of its ability. And in that way, the women will rise and the men will rise, and we will both raise children that will be on platforms that they understand their place in the society.
That is well said, Mohammed. Really appreciate that. And with that being said, do you believe that societal attitudes towards, man's health are changing? And if so, in what way and what steps are contributing to that change?
Oh, there's definitely a change, and the way that it's been changing is men, like a show like today, we are able to talk about having emotions. We are able to talk about our emotions, and women are now starting to understand that we as men also feel emotions. We're not hard on the inside who can just take anything. And that's allowing us to speak about it and no longer just hold it inside and have these outbursts of anger that come across as temperamental issues. Meanwhile, it was just a buildup of emotions that were sitting inside. So being able to speak about it, being able to hear about it, being able to see other men going through it as well, what that has done has opened up the pathway for men to really let their emotions out and in that way heal themselves.
Now, with the notion that is out there to say, when you are a grown individual, it then becomes your responsibility to really work on healing your inner child, healing yourself, and, just rechecking yourself in that sense. But looking at the young boys or the young male figures, if I can say so, how can we then start to engage them in ways that unheal or rather heal their childhood traumas and their childhood experiences that are leading to what is now deemed as toxic masculinity. Because as you mentioned earlier on in our conversation, that from a young age you hear a little boy being told, boys don't cry or things like that. And now how do we then get to have them unlearn that, only for them to relearn, healthy aspects of masculinity and healthy aspects of, how it is okay to cry and how it is okay to seek help?
I think the answer to that doesn't lie in taking the child and reforming the child. It actually lies in reforming the father.
Oh.
So we need to become fathers that create children that don't need healing from us. So we heal ourselves, and then those children won't just listen to the words that we are saying because we want them to be the best versions of themselves. Those children, they become versions of us based on what we do. So if we heal ourselves, we show them that it is okay to have emotions. They will automatically become these children in the future. So instead of sitting down with them and talking to them about it, let's become healed individuals. And in that way, like I said, you heal yourself, you will heal your household. So start with yourself first.
What of, family dynamics where it's more matriarchal rather than, patriarchal, or there is an existence of a male figure in the family for them to learn from? What then? Does it mean that the mother now must be the one who instills this in the child, or it's a matter of, the village raising the child?
There are men all around, and there are male figures all around. There's a beautiful tafsir that I heard of Surah Yusuf, and it starts off with the sun, the dream that Hazrat Yusuf has of the sun, the moon, and the stars bowing down to him. And then it ends off with his father, his mother, and his 11 siblings bowing down out of respect to him. And the beautiful tafsir that I heard about it was that the father, or the male figure in society or in a home, is like the sunshine. And it brings warmth and energy and food and light to the house. And the mother is like the moonlight, which brings warmth and love and beauty to the household. And when the sun does its job and when the moon does its job, the stars are shining. And think of this on society as a whole, not just a family dynamic.
Yeah.
When the sun does its job and the moon does its job, the stars will shine. However, when the moon goes in front of the sun, there'll be an eclipse and you won't see any stars. So we have to be very, very conscious of our roles in society. So if there isn't a male figure, there are many great male figures, from imams in the masjids to teachers to mentors here at Motivation, that can help these boys understand their roles in society by looking up to a positive male role model.
Oh, that's a lovely response. Jazakallah so much more for that. And before we close off our conversation, what practical steps can we take to foster a more cultural of positivity and openness in our youth, and particularly our young boys, when it comes to health, mental well-being, and self-expression?
I think we need to teach boys to be more positive. There's an influx of information out there about this disorder and about trauma and about difficulty and it's just negativity upon negativity upon negativity. Newton's law of motion states that if an object will remain in motion until acted upon by an opposing force. So I truly believe negativity will remain in motion until you put positivity in front of it, and positivity will continue to be in motion until you put something negative in front of it. So let's create an environment of positivity for these youngsters. Let's create an environment of positivity for ourselves. Yes, there's a negative world out there, but we need to have tawakkul. We need to understand that Allah is guiding us. All He wants to see is our reaction. And it's something that I always tell my son. It's not your situation that defines you. It's your reaction to the situation that defines you. So let us look at our reactions, and then let us, as male role models in society, give the right reactions in difficult moments, because it is those reactions that is going to shape the society going forward.
And in closing, where can viewers at home, get in touch with Motivation, also access some of the services that is offered by Motivation?
So on any of the social media platforms, it goes under Motivation SA. That's Moetivation SA. That's on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the social medias, you'll get me there. That's Motivation SA. Just hit me up with a message if there is anything that you want to know. Of course, I post daily motivational posts as well. to inspire people, to help people going through a difficult time. I want them to know that we need to be optimistic individuals. We do not need to be in any sort of despair. Let us get out of this rut that we're in, and let us understand that Allah has us in His hands and He is guiding us to where we need to be.
Mohammed, Jazakallah so much for joining us tonight and really giving us insight in terms of there are individuals out there who are trying to, bring out that positivity in the world that really needs to exist so that we can combat the negativity that is surrounding us and also impacting, the mental health of the men themselves as well as the women at that. But Jazakallah so much for the insight.
Ameen. Jazakallah for having me as well.
Viewers at home, that was my lovely conversation with Mohamed Cassim, who is the founder of MOETIVATION. Make sure you do hit them up on their socials and, get in touch with them. If you're someone who is a single mother with a boy child and you're just worried about, where they headed in terms of their mental space, in terms of their behavior, in terms of, just their personal development, make sure you hit them up and get the necessary assistance you need. Or maybe hit up a mommy within your locality. But for now, let's head over to an ad break. We'll see you just after this.